Ladies and gentlemen, today it is my pleasure to bring you a match between HitEmUp and TopRamen. This is a rematch of our grand finals of Tyrant's Tale, which concluded about a week ago. And today I will be casting this match, but HitEmUp will be playing as Protoss on Abiogenesis, a map by yours truly, commissioned by 3 Crow. I have no idea how well it plays. This is actually the first time I'm seeing a game on it as far as like start to finish live. I've seen a couple of snippets here and there because I watch these homies stream their games in our Discord server, which you can join from the link below. Let's get into it. We've got TopRamen in the bottom left, as I'm going to once again say he is the Platinum Terran. And HitEmUp in the top right as the, is this Blood or Maroon? Let's say Maroon Protoss. It was Blood. Abiogenesis has an interesting-ish layout. You know, you got your main, and you can go into your natural. It's pretty standard, right? And then you have this little tight choke here. It's not... I don't know, I actually know if I've tested any walls on it. That's not really something we started to think about until very recently. Third is kind of open, right? But the pathway kind of terminates in this general vicinity. So you have to go around the map in order to access the third. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, however. These are 8-patch bases, and we have a new economy online where Vespene on the Geyser is 5 instead of 4, and then the Ridge provides 3 instead of 2, and depleted fields provide 3 minerals instead of 2, but the mineral fields themselves, by default, will provide 5 instead of 4. So we've kind of buffed up the return rate. And we have HitEmUp going for a macro nexus, while Ramen was about to go for a macro lodestone or something like that, but he's instead going to go for quarry. So what you're going to see HitEmUp doing here is a 10 nexus into apparently some very other silly stuff. I was only told that this match has a lot of really greedy things. I'm not 100% sure. Ramen going to be going ahead and going for the macro ministry as the opener as well. These guys are still figuring out at this point, you know, what kind of things are put into place to go for a really heavy macro style game with high worker counts. And that's one of the reasons why I mentioned that the bases are 8 patches here. Because since the recording or since the playing of this game, we've decided to settle on, we experimented with 6 patch mains. Later today, I'm actually going to be converting the Class 2 maps, of which Abiogenesis belongs, into 7 patch mains after experimenting with 6 patch. So we're going to have 7 patches in the mains of all the bases for the mains and the naturals, and probably also the thirds. And then, after that, and including thirds, it's kind of up to the mappers' idea, what their ideas are. We have 1 gateway and 1 stockade coming up to follow up. You notice the quarry is here. The quarry is coming online and building taluses because it no longer builds masons. And the talus obviously costs Vespene. It also flies, and it moves pretty damn fast. So, in theory, the talus should be a more efficient worker. However, it's also here to heckle the workers of HitEmUp, and they're both very impressed with themselves, with each other's build orders. You can see the spin around over here. And the scribe will end up going down. So, but still, you had to invest a lot of APM to make that happen, and the Hierophant's going to come online. HitEmUp is only down by 1 worker, but remember that one of those workers is the Talos, which, equivalent, they basically have the same worker deficit right now, especially when the workers here finish their scouting pattern. So the Talos will disappear off into the sea for the time being, and now the Hierophant will come down and pick that Mason. And actually, if HitEmUp decides to go for that, he will be able to finish the job onto that Mason. Unfortunately, he's once again getting heckled, and if he loses another worker, which it looks like he is going to do, yeah, it ends up going down, unfortunately. That is going to be a minor advantage for our Terran player. You can see the Terrans are indeed starting to harvest with the Taluses. This is the future we wanted, apparently, is double macro ministry, macro nexus. Now, here's the thing, is that when you have the lodestone, it still operates even after you lift it off. So it still acts as a detector and as a, the detector and an anchor type structure, right? The garrison. So second gateway is coming in. HitEmUp adding a 3rd gateway, in fact, off of the back of his nexus. And, this is an advantage of the Terrans that the Protoss doesn't have. The Protoss can't relocate their nexus, but HitEmUp is just trying to get up to his very high worker counts. That's basically his plan. The reason why we're going to cut the mineral node count to 7 is so that we essentially have a reduced maximum worker count across the whole game. We don't want to have the situation be that players tend to like solve the meta, and maybe this wouldn't have happened if we had left the meta game for running for a very long time, mind you. Absolutely slapped. But one of the things we noticed out of Tyrant's Tale, and even in Acropolis #1 for a small amount of time there, is that we saw this idea where high-level players were solving the metagame by building like 200 workers or 150 workers or whatever in the mid to late game area. And I think a part of that is because depletion still gave you so much resources. I kind of railed against that in general, but that was something that, people wanted to see in action. I do co-design this game with Veek7. Used to be my designs first and foremost. And I guess my DNA is probably still more like my fingerprints are more on it. A little bit more than maybe anybody else on an individual basis. But since then, been incorporating more of other people's design philosophies, specifically Veek7, and of course bringing the community in for their ideas as well. And, that just as a result is a situation where you're going to have some experiments that maybe you don't think are right, but, you want to see how they go. That's a lot of what we're kind of doing in this moment as well. But after seeing how depletion seemed to have worked, as double watchdogs are going to be placed in these expansion slots, a nice little opportunity for Ramen to get things done. It's going to offer us a little bit of insight into what we actually want to do. HitEmUp is a lot of Vespian and not a lot of minerals. I have no idea what he's planning to buy. But yeah, the main thing that is worth fixating on, I think, is the idea that when you're talking about, the depletion aspect of it, well, then your workers are permanently going to add value. And so there's never really a reason to stop building them. And, people tend to not transfer workers between depleted bases and other ones. Now, we don't want to get rid of the permanent resources, but we do want to make it so that there's a lockout on, how useful the worker counts can be. And one of the elegant ideas I had way back, elegant, not just my words, but also the words of others, is that when you get down to the depletion level on the minerals, it would reduce the overall... Oh, my God. It's a monument of sin. I saw the ping and I was like, it took me a second. I forgot I programmed it to ping when a monument of sin is built for Protoss. Yeah, so anyway, I'll finish that other thought and then we'll talk about the game a little bit more. When you get down to depleted minerals, you need less workers to fully saturate them. Therefore, you're going to cut down the number of workers by equivalent to the number of mineral fields for that base. And that's a permanent debuff. So you'll never get to a point where your minerals are, more efficient than that, right? You're always going to be at a situation where the second worker becomes as efficient as the third worker by default. So you really only need one worker to full saturate, but that, well, it's depending on what you're thinking about. It's optimal saturation is one worker, but full saturation is 1.25 workers, which means you want two workers for if you're really desperate, but otherwise you're going to be incentivized to transfer. That's the idea anyway. The Gateway Army is going to go ahead and get rid of this watchdog blocking the Nexus. We do have some other updates to the cornerstones, actually. One of them is not active in this game, but Vengeance and Ascension, which are debuffs, or buffs that the Protoss would be able to get, are allowed to, they're basically intensified in their efficacy, so they're, oh, I love the anchor back here. I don't know. Surely he sees that as soon as he moves his units up here. Yeah, he's going to see that, and at some point he's going to step on that. The monument nearly complete, by the way, but the movement speed and attack speed increases are going to be more intense for things like for things like the attack speed and movement speed. So that's going to get canceled. He's just going to build an anchor on the other side. Not a bad idea. You can put phalanxes back here in Siege, but I don't think we have a Palladium. Looking at this, I don't actually know what Ramen's game plan is, because he only has tier 1 mech units, and he doesn't really have much else. Meanwhile, a fucking Star Sovereign is on the way at 8 minutes, so that's great. Meanwhile, Cyprian Airlift is going to come in here to the natural. There is an anchor, or sorry, a warden there, but you can do something over there. That's a possibility. Third base operational for both players now, it looks like. Well, I say operational, but he's saturating it without actually having the Nexus there, which is kind of funny. So the Talos is here to repair. The Talos does repair faster than a Mason, so this is actually going to be pretty significant. You can see all of the shots coming in a very elegant... This is just juicy. We love to see that kind of thing in action. Absolute devastation. Gotta watch out, though, as those workers end up getting cut up. That little distinct extra sound is from the Cyprians actually penetrating. If it doesn't penetrate, it doesn't make that sound. So it's a nice little audio cue I added some time ago to indicate, hey, you're getting pierced. You need the armor or something to take it up or whatever. another Talos. I think the Talos died over there. Yeah, I see the rubble. Talos could come down here and build another anchor or something for that to repeatedly be a thing. We remember against Neblime, and I think also against HitEmUp actually on Rage Slave, TopRamen did this exact thing where he flew a Fulcrum into the base and then like built Cyclops. There's not really room to do that in the main or natural for Abiogenesis. Maybe if you did it up here, but even then I think you'd see it. So like, you know, that's one of those things that he was able to do on Paradise versus Neblime and on Rage Slave versus HitEmUp. TopRamen did end up figuring that kind of thing out. But now we have a scribe over here, and it's going to see not just the Watchdog, but also the Stockade if it moves a little bit further forward. What is the actual state of the game? I mean, we've got vultures in this anchor. I guess it could land here. I don't think there's a room for it, but I guess he could fly into the base and get a scout off. He hasn't actually seen the Star Sovereign yet, I don't believe. Yeah, there it is, floating in the middle of the map. I guess the Goliaths might have their opportunity to kill it really fast. There's a lot of Goliaths here, so let's see what he's going to do. Hi. Ramen hasn't looked at it. He's going to look at it now. No, Ramen. Ramen, stay away. Okay, so the glassing is going to happen. It's a total lockdown. D:, Warden, Cyprian. What's up, guys? I don't think they're actually going to kill that. All right, I just saw a minimap ping, so Atlas is on the way. Yeah, if you're getting to tier 2 as the Star Sovereign is already up, that might be a sign that you need to rethink things. Here's the Ministry. Just the intervention missiles are, yep, they're going to kill the Mason. Utter devastation. He's going to go ahead and try to get a glassing off, so you can take some pot shots, but you have to watch out, because otherwise your Goliaths are just going to die like that, yeah. So, you know, I don't know if he got the cancel. Oh my god, no, 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 no! The Goliaths! Oh my god. What a devastation. Oh my, I can't believe this happened over here on this other side. Well, he's going to kill the worker at least, but not going to be able to heckle the Nexus, and there's all these gateway units pumping out. There is an Anthelion. It teleports to anywhere with active vision, and then sucks units in. So isn't that lovely? I love the 4 Mavericks and the Lodestone still. 4th base coming online here for Ramen. By gassing, he did destroy the neutral aquifers, so that is going to make it a little bit more obnoxious to actually harvest gas from that. But I guess as Terran in the super late game. By the way, another thing that's worth pointing out, gas caps in now increase the gas yield from 5 to 7. And the tier 3 gas caps increase it from 7 to 9. So just to let you guys know what you're working with here, we do have 4 Mavericks in that Lodestone, 5 Goliaths, and a couple of lobotomy mines. They will initially strike good onto the Zealots. Oh, that's a less good one for TopRamen's sake, and I think the Gateway Army might just be able to run him over here. He doesn't really have that much military. He's desperately trying to scramble together a bunch of captaincies, but I think it's much too late. And despite the memes of the Star Sovereign, I mean, it's so weird, because the Star Sovereign would have just denied the base in the lower middle, and yet Ramen kind of opted into losing, I want to say, more than half of his Goliaths just to that one Star Sovereign. That was not exactly the best play, but that is the situation we find ourselves in, and I just don't know if he can hold out long enough here. He hasn't been able to lay any mines with the Vultures, and he hasn't been able to get rid of all the Zealots, so he's going to have to lose that Ministry. I was going to say lift it, but no, just lose it. Different L word. And yeah, we're starting to see... Is the game broken? Ramen getting sassed by his opponent. You're def killing me, lol. Where's the Anthelion at? I guess he wants to deploy it a little bit later on. He's got 2 of them. Oh, okay, they just came in, and now they're going to start sucking in the the Masons. That's going to be LMAO GG for sure when you see the double Anthelion. And all right, just shy of 13 minutes, we managed to get our match in. I know this was a short cast over, guys, but I was told I absolutely had to cast this game. It was very silly. I do have some more replays to go through on the new Eco. However, I think some of them feature Zerg, and Zerg went through a number of changes. So we might decide to hold off on those, or maybe cast them in order of like how the changes progressed. There's a lot more to talk about all the changes since Tyrant's Tale. But the, again, the cliff notes are we've got new Eco as far as the resource return rates and worker saturations, meaning that you need less workers in order to get the same economy. And also we've reduced the efficiency of that extra worker, meaning that you don't really want as many workers because they won't be as efficient and they take a while to pay for themselves. And then on top of it, eventually the depletion rate is going to come in where it takes longer to harvest the depleted resources. Therefore, you're going to need to transfer those excess workers to some other base, which these are all different ways to pull the lever so that you have less overall worker counts. And as a result, less of a necessity for, macro nexus and macro ministry. But I will never, judge a player for trying some stuff and practicing out. I'll never begrudge a player for doing stuff like that. I think it's all well and good, all great. Thanks for watching this cast, and we will be back with more such videos very soon. GG.